It's been 3.5 weeks since Bailey McCourt was murdered in a Kelowna parking lot, allegedly beaten to death with a hammer by her estranged husband, James Plover.
It's horrific. It's an example of a failure of a system to keep somebody safe that actually reached out for help, went through the court process, was searching for safety, and didn't get it.
Just hours before he allegedly attacked McCourt, Plover had been found guilty of assault by choking and uttering threats in a domestic violence case, but he was allowed to walk free to await sentencing.
Do you think the offender should have been held in custody after conviction?
Clearly there's a failure.
On Monday, BC's Attorney General sent this letter to her counterpart in Ottawa, advocating for a specific change to the criminal code for perpetrators found guilty of choking or strangulation, which is a known red flag in domestic violence cases.
So what it would say is that the reverse onus applies. So the idea that you are held unless you can show there's a good reason to release you, shifts the questions that the court asks, right? It's not up to Crown to prove that this person should be held and not released. Instead, it's they're held unless there's a good reason to release them.
That legislative change is one step. We need a broader-based intervention that goes well beyond the law.
Angela McDougall with Battered Women's Support Services also wants more funding for support workers and mandatory risk assessment for perpetrators of domestic violence.
We know that mandated risk assessments at every point of the criminal system and the family law system is something that would make a difference. At this point, we can't guarantee that the system is assessing risk effectively, and if they're doing it, it's at their discretion.
Sharma says the Premier raised the idea of mandatory risk assessments with the Prime Minister, who seemed receptive.
The Premier has delivered the letter to the Prime Minister asking for these changes. I sent the letter on Monday. I'm meeting with Minister Fraser on Thursday. I want to get it into the next changes in the session of the criminal code, which would be next fall.
Ultimately, it took James Plover being charged with the second-degree murder of Bailey McCourt for a judge to order him held in custody.
You know, my heart goes out to the family, and the thought that she was seeking safety from the system and it wasn't there for her is something that I think haunts all of us that are thinking about how we can do it better.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News.